Hello and welcome back to Pravus Gaming and Democracy 3 with the Holy United Kingdom. Alright, so last time we did manage to get a nice tidy surplus and a credit rating upgrade, which is going to be nice for us. We also managed to get a plurality of the vote, so that's going to be very important for us because now we are going into an election cycle, and of course I want to get re-elected, else the game is going to be over. Now I do believe that I saw in, I think the first video, a comment saying that this is kind of weird that we have a 4-year term length, because in the United Kingdom it's supposed to be 5. I don't know that for sure, I'm not from the UK, I'll take your word for it. I do think that's rather interesting though, because the game is not always set to a 4-year term length. Canada, for example, I think was actually set to 5 by default. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was. And yet the UK, in this case, was set to 4 by default. And I don't have a randomized start, so that does seem a little bit odd, because I'm pretty sure Democracy 3 is by a British developer. So that seems like an unusual oversight. Don't know why. But there it is. I didn't know going into it that it was supposed to be 5, so we're going to have to make do with 4. I apologize if that kind of ruins the immersion for some people. That said, let's move on into year 4 and get ready for an election. Island invaded! You may have forgotten that technically we have sovereignty of the tiny Pacific island of Barbados. I'm sure you mean the Falkland Islands, sir. And actually, I'm pretty sure that this pretty much exact event happened for Margaret Thatcher when she was the Prime Minister of the UK. Oh well, now we have the same thing. Patriots and everyone else are unhappy, but Patriot membership did go up, and as a result we lost a few percentage points in the polls. The global economy is in a recession, and yet it looks like our surplus has increased by about £13 billion per quarter, which is pretty good. Pretty darn good, actually. Health is on the rise, unemployment's going down, GDP is pretty stagnant, and the global economy is a major reason for that. But we'll see if we can't turn that around eventually. Alright, how should we begin year 4? Well, I do see we only have 25 political capital, and that's pretty low at this point in the game. I may be a little bit spoiled. I admit it, I may be a little bit spoiled from our last series, which was Democracy 3 Africa, where we played as an Egyptian dictator. And I had a ton of political capital then, I could do whatever the heck I wanted, it was great. Now, not so much, and I feel like this campaign we are struggling to do anything meaningful in the development of this country because we just don't have enough points to work with. So I need to improve this, and I can see already right off the bat, we have a couple of problems, people here. Lester James, with his squinty, smug face, he's causing issues, he's generating practically nothing. Now he is sympathetic to socialists and trade unionists. Well, socialists are pretty happy, but trade unionists, not so much. So if we want to get more political capital, this would be an important thing to invest in, the trade unionist voter bloc. What about this lady? Catherine Morgan. Conservatives and patriots. Well, conservatives are very happy. Patriots, though, not so much. So again, these guys are guys that we really ought to invest a bit more in order to get more political capital, and that's going to be important for us in the long term. It's just as important as having a good surplus. You want to make sure that you are generating plenty of political capital to work with. So, one good way to do that with the trade unionists is to go under economy and government subsidies for unions. There you go. Trade unions provide a vital service to our nation, and it is in the collective interests of the people that they be encouraged and supported throughout all industries and workplaces, blah, 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 blah. Alright, well, if you guys have watched my channel for a long period of time and you've seen some of my other Democracy 3 playthroughs, you know that I am prone to talking about politics and my own personal views and concerns occasionally. If you guys saw something you guys are not interested in hearing, I'll include a link to allow you to skip, but today I want to talk a little bit about unions, since we are currently going to be doing this. I'll preface this, of course, by reminding people that I have said I am a classical liberal, and I am a free market capitalist. Alright, I'm a big proponent of freedom and personal liberty. So now you know what my political stance is, you might understand why I have some mixed feelings when it comes to unions. And I say mixed feelings because I do think that unions have a place in our economy. Especially historically, we saw that during the Industrial Revolution. Unions were great as far as protecting the individual from unsafe work conditions or abuse, contractual abuse by employers. For example, basically being required to work overtime for no pay if you wanted to keep your job, like things like that, right? So unions have a place as far as protecting workers, and that's great. And so long as they fulfill that role, I don't really have a problem with them. I do, however, have a problem with unions as they currently stand, at least certain unions as they currently stand in the United States. Now, again, I'll remind you guys, I can only speak from my personal experience. Maybe you have a different personal experience, and you'll disagree with me, and that's fine. I'm okay with people having that discussion as long as it is respectful. That's perfectly fine with me. I also can't speak for how unions work overseas. So if you have some Europeans viewers, and I know that I do, and they're saying, hey, unions are great, what are you talking about? I don't know, maybe it's a little different in the US. I don't know how you guys run your stuff. I can only speak from my personal experience. Specifically, I can speak with my personal experience with the teachers' unions in the United States, because my wife is actually currently going through the certification process to become an elementary school teacher. She has her degree, she just needs to get certified. And as a result, guess what? We have to pay certain dues, or I should say, quote-unquote, insurance money. I'm not even kidding, it's actually teachers' insurance, to certain teachers' unions in order for her to get employed. Not kidding at all. Now, I have a couple of problems with the way that teachers' unions specifically are operated in the United States. First off, I think that they have less to do with just protecting the rights of the teachers and more to give them kind of some ridiculous benefits. And specifically, I'm thinking about tenure. In certain states in the United States, if you have, I think, 3 years? 3 years? I think it's 3. 3 years working in a public school, you will get tenure, which basically means you can't get fired or laid off. That's so unbelievably dumb to me. Don't get me wrong, I understand the desire for job security. I love job security. I want to have job security too. But if you have so much job security that you can't get fired, what is the incentive to actually improve your skills and to be competitive with the other teachers? Where's the incentive to perform? There isn't really one. And that's one of the reasons I find in the United States public education system, we have a lot of really terrible teachers, and you can't get rid of them. You can't, legally. You can't get rid of them. You can't fire them. As a result, the public education for our students goes down as a whole because we have bad teachers staying in the system. The respect for the profession goes down, which is bad because I respect teachers immensely. I think they perform a very important role in our society. And it's very difficult to justify giving raises to teachers across the board if you know that bad teachers are also getting raises. So all in all, I don't think that it's actually helping anyone except to give more power to the union. That's the only reason that tenure would exist, is to increase membership for unions and increase their power politically. And that's my second problem when it comes to teachers' unions, is I find that have less to do with protecting the workers and more to become a political lobby than anything else. And I base that off of a couple of different things. So like I said, my wife has to pay some insurance money to trade unions, to the teachers' union specifically. And we actually got a magazine in the mail not that long ago, and I was shocked reading through it of the things that they were proudly saying, these are what we're doing for the unions. First off, it had very little to do with actually being better educators. They were talking a lot about certain things that I would label as cultural indoctrination, right? These are like, here are the different programs and political policies we are pursuing so that we can force children to learn a liberal mindset. Now again, I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with liberalism, but when did schools become about teaching values to our children? That's what a parent is supposed to do. A parent is supposed to impart values on their children. Schools are there to teach you information. That's it. They're not there to force you to become more and more progressive, but that's what the teachers' unions were proudly saying they were doing. I'm not even kidding, like literally, word for word. And on top of that, the teachers' union in question was publicly endorsing Hillary Clinton and saying, hey, these are the things we're doing. Here's the campaign funds that we are contributing to Hillary Clinton because she will be the best president. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong necessarily with voting for Hillary Clinton. If you're a Democrat, that's what you want to do. Okay, fine. I'm not endorsing or I'm not dissuading people from supporting Hillary Clinton. That's not what I'm here to talk about. But I do have a problem with unions taking a particular political stance like that, because the law, at least in a lot of states, requires you to join a union and to pay dues to them if you want to work in an industry. That means, let's suppose you are a conservative teacher. You are required in certain states to join a union and to give them money knowing that they are going to spend your dues to represent a political ideology that goes directly against your views. And you are legally required to do that if you want to be working. That's absurd to me. That is a forced association, and it's practically extortion. People should not be required to join a union that does not actually represent their views. And that's one of the reasons, as a free market capitalist, I am a supporter of the right to work states. basically passing a law that says unions are not allowed to legally require you to join them. You are welcome to join a union if you want to, but you are not legally required to join a union. I'm a big fan of that. Again, I understand why unions want to do that, because they want to have strong collective bargaining, right? If people are allowed to join a workforce and are not required to join a union, then unions by default will lose power because they do not control as much of the workforce. Therefore, their collective bargaining power goes down. I get that. And yet, if people are still allowed to join the union, then unions, if they can provide a really good service, then people will voluntarily join, and there's no requirement at all. There's no forced association. But if they are failing to represent people properly, then people are not required to join. That's just a question of freedom to me, and it's also important for an economy because the unions should not have a monopoly on a labor force. That is exactly why this doctor's strike is happening right now. Because we have focused so much on a national socialized healthcare service that the doctors have basically a monopoly on the workforce in our healthcare. And they can actually go on strike and basically kill our citizens. Our health has gone down by 27%. They can do things like that because they have a dominant share of the labor in the healthcare industry in our country. That's stupid. That's just dumb. I understand why people like socialized healthcare. I understand the desire for something like that, but you give them too much power, and monopolies are bad. That's true in capitalism. That's true in socialism. And that's exactly what's happening in this case. Too much power to a doctor's union, and now they can go on strike and drive down a vital service in our country. Again, I think that unions serve a purpose, but at least in my experience, a lot of unions are abusing that purpose, and they are manipulating laws to force people to associate with something they may not agree with. And that is something, on its face value, I have to be opposed to, as a classical liberal. Alright, with that out of the way, now you guys understand, and you're welcome to disagree with me in the comment section if you want to, as long as it's done respectively. I don't care. And by the way, I have relatives who are part of the teachers' unions, okay? I have a close association with that. I understand what good they can do, but I also understand how they are being abused in this country. And I think that there is a balance. In all things, there is balance. That's all I'm trying to say. All right. With that out of the way, let's take a look at government subsidies for unions. We are going to pass this because in this particular playthrough, that's going to be really good. Trade unionists will be extremely happy. If I max this out, we're looking at, 23.58% vote for the trade unionists. And their income goes up because we are basically deliberately lining their pockets with money so that they will vote for us. Because guess what? Unions are becoming more and more of a political lobby than anything else. Now, capitalists predictably will be very unhappy, but I don't care. Socialism membership and trade unionist membership go up. That's a double whammy of awesomeness for us. Also wages, because unions, generally speaking, are actually pretty good at increasing wages for a particular industry. So that's happening in this game. It's only going to cost us 1.68 billion pounds per quarter. Not too bad. So yeah, let's pass that right away. Anything else that I want to do? Whoops. Don't want to look at my achievements. Compulsory foreign language classes. That's not too bad. Doesn't cost us a lot of money or political capital, but it increases international trade, foreign relations, and reduces racial tension because we are requiring that our students learn other languages so that they can better interact with other cultures. And that's fine with me. As long as it does not increase immigration, then I am okay with reducing racial tension. That can only be a good thing. So we'll go ahead and pass that. Now we are out of points, so let's move on into the next turn. Freedom of information. There have been calls for a law to increase the availability of information held on databases about citizens without their knowledge. I think we've seen this before. We're going to reject the proposal because we are conservative, and if we have to justify our data collecting, then maybe terrorists can get away. That's the entirety of that conservative position in this game. So there you go. 26 political capital to work with, because we are still generating 25 per turn. This guy's getting less and less happy, which is just ridiculous, because trade unionists should be very happy with me now, but oh well. We do want to improve the environment and try to get rid of this asthma epidemic as much as we can. So let's go ahead and take a look at the car emission limits. This is a pretty good way of doing things. It improves the environment a lot. 22%, great. It also reduces car usage a little bit, which is a double whammy for the asthma epidemic because that is tied to your environment and your car usage. Also reduces CO2 emissions, and it only makes motorists unhappy and takes a little money out of their pockets. Fine, I don't care. Go ahead and just accept it. We should also improve our education a little bit. I'm going to do some public libraries. Yep, That'll increase our education and our equality a little bit. We might even be able to get an egalitarian society at some point, which would be kind of fun. It does cost a fair bit of money, though, about £4 billion per quarter, but we have a huge surplus, so I don't care. We should also try to improve our situation with patriots. Do we have anything we can do for, 2 political capital? We do, actually. The National Armed Forces Week. That's not too bad. By establishing a National Armed Forces Week, they can be appreciating their service to their country, blah, blah, blah. Pretty cheap, all in all. Not bad. And it just outright makes patriots happy and increases their membership. That's it. And that's fine. I can even spin that a little bit for our role-play theocracy playthrough. Get everyone lining up the streets and saluting and singing, "Onward, Christian soldiers, marching off to war." Except literally. This is not just like a spiritual warfare thing. Literally, our soldiers are marching off to war to further the cause of the Holy United Kingdom. So that's hilarious. All right, next thing we can do. Moving on. Homelessness is at an end. Huzzah! So that's gone. That will make the liberal citizens, socialists, and poor happy. Speed limits. Major motorist pressure group has lobbied to get speed limits raised. Nope, I will not. This is going to make motorists unhappy, but it will make parents happy because we are going to make things safe for their children. So, okay. Budget surplus is still pretty high, despite the fact that we are spending a bit of money. So, okay. It looks to me like we'll be paying off quite a bit of debt before this election cycle, which is great. We should, however, spend some of this if we can do anything really useful. What about university grants? Very expensive, but again, we have the surplus, we might as well. This will increase our education quite a bit. It makes the youth happy. Youth have more money to spare. Middle earnings, poor earnings, state employees. What if we just did generous grants? Pay the full, £12.5 billion per quarter. Education would go up by 25%. I mean, that's pretty dang good. And everyone would be happy. Okay, we're passing it. Of course, that will cost me a fair bit of my political capital, but oh well. Liberalism membership is way too high for my taste, especially going into this vote. What's affecting this? Membership. Community policing is a big part of it. The Race Discrimination Act. Oh, we have that. Of course we do. Why wouldn't we? There it is. Yeah, no. Let's get rid of that. I don't want to cancel it. It's too expensive. But if I just reduce it down to 0, I get some benefits. The ethnic minorities and liberals will be happy, even though we will have no racial discrimination act at all. And liberalism membership will go down to 0. So I get some benefit. It's cheaper. And liberalism membership goes away, which is all I really care about. Racial tension goes up, though. Which is unfortunate, but meh. It'll make the ethnic minorities happy, so I don't really care that much. On the same token, maybe we should reduce our community and policing now. Alcohol abuse is still a problem, but I think we can deal with this by raising the alcohol drinking age. Again, if I reduce this down to 0, we still get some benefit, but the liberalism membership goes away. So yeah, that seems perfectly fine. It's also cheaper. Only costs 2 political capital. Alright, reduce the community policing down to 0. And let us move on into the last turn before the election. Technology backwater is finally at an end. Good. Oh no, a market meltdown. We may not have done anything wrong, but a crisis in confidence in overseas mortgage market has led to a global meltdown. You're blaming the US, aren't you? Probably. Socialism membership slightly goes up, but the global economy is sucking right now. However, we did get a credit rating upgrade. We're now to a AAA. Okay. That's pretty good. Yeah, the global economy is in a deep recession. That's why our GDP looks so bad right now. It should be a lot higher. That said, we're looking at 77% of the vote right now. That's really good. Okay, that's not bad. Surplus has gone up to £53 billion per quarter. That's really good. And without the technology backwater, I feel like we can finally do some stuff to increase our religious membership and go to creationism versus evolution. Now, right now, it is set to both systems taught, which I'm pretty sure exists only because of balance purposes in this game. Because realistically, in most of the developed world, you're probably teaching evolution only. But that would reduce religious membership and happiness so far down, you probably would get assassinated too early on in the game. So for balance purposes, it's usually here in the middle. We're going to be going to creationism only, because we want to greatly increase our religious membership and reduce our liberalism membership. Yeah, we'll upset them. Oh well. But we might as well get this ball rolling as quickly as we can. This seems pretty much perfect for us. Let's go ahead and change that up. Perfect. So over the next 30 turns or so, we should see religious membership drastically increase, which will be awesome for us, and start making good progress toward a theocracy. Liberalism membership going down as well as an extra bonus, because conservatives are primarily what we're going to be wanting. That said, liberals are going to hate me, and there's a very good chance they will try to assassinate me pretty soon. Which, you know, that's not so good, but I think we'll be okay. I think we're going to be just fine, thank you. Anything else we want to do before the end of this season? Free parenting classes, why not? Costs $1 billion, but we're going to make parents like us. That's a voter group that's usually pretty hard to make happy, so long as you have an asthma epidemic. Next year, now that the election is going to be done and I'm not worried about winning an election, I'm probably going to have to manipulate the labor laws to get rid of this doctor's strike. Because I don't think that increasing trade unionist membership is in any way going to help. Because I already explained that to you when I was having my political rant, which some of you may have skipped. But it's important for the mechanics of this game. Trade unions, the higher their percentage, the more of a monopoly they will have on the workforce in a particular industry. And as a result, because the doctors union is super duper strong, they can actually just go on strike and basically demand whatever they want, and I have to give it to them or else health will go down. So, while I'm okay with unions, especially in this playthrough, I want unions to be strong, I'm gonna need to deal with this, and making unions happy won't be enough to deal with the issue. At least I don't think it will. So that'll be something we deal with next time, though. Let's go ahead and move on into the voter count and see how we performed. Pretty good. A lot of people not voting at all, actually, which is surprising. We do not have much better turnout than our opponent did, and our activist boost is kind of awful. Yeah, this is a much weaker start than I'm accustomed to by this point in Democracy 3. Huh. I guess going against liberalism as much as we have is part of the problem. But okay, let's break down the results. Capitalists, of course, very unhappy. Liberals, self-employed, middle income, parents, all pretty unhappy as well. But we did really well with the socialists and the poor, and the conservatives, trade unionists, religious, all kind of to be expected. Not too bad. As far as our changes, mostly good. CO2 emissions are going up, in no small part because our GDP is going up, so we knew that was going to happen, but we can deal with this in time. Racial tension's gone down. International trade looking pretty bad right now, but we can fix that in due time. People are smoking a lot more too, and drinking alcohol. Well, that's to happen. That happens a lot when you give the poor more money. Which may be a little unfair, but at least in this particular game, the more money you give to the poor, the more they spend on tobacco and alcohol. Kind of a waste, but there it is. Alright, not bad though. Not bad. We did get reelected. That's all we really care about. We can continue the game. Hey, look at that, a technological advantage. Cool. That'll have to wait until next time, though, because that is the end of Year 4. Thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video, and for those of you who disagree with my own political stance on unions, you are welcome to disagree, but again, I ask that you do so respectfully. And, of course, leave a comment for other things if you want to see me do certain policies or you have ideas as far as how we can improve our theocracy here. And subscribe for my future content. My name has been Pravus, and I will be seeing you guys next time.